In the late 80s, in my hometown of Rockford, Illinois, we were all shocked when a group called the People Who Care brought a lawsuit against the Rockford School District for discrimination against Black people in the school system. We were all shocked when the lawsuit came to our attention, and even more shocked later when the courts found in favor of the people who care. When I was having breakfast with my uncle, who had recently been elected to the school board, I asked him how could they possibly rule against the school board, and my uncle Avery said, "Well, it's because they were guilty of discriminating against Black people." And I said, "Well, how do they know that?" And he said, "Oh, because it was so blatant and so obvious." Welcome to Conservative Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith, and I think we're trying to see what the obvious conclusion is of all the craziness that's going on in the world. And I think, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, I think we can all find common ground in the idea that something just something just doesn't seem right. And perhaps that's the sentiment we should start with in these conversations that sometimes devolve into political polarities. The starting point that at some point during the conversation, on either side, we've all agreed that something's up with the election. On the left, we had the Russia, 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 the idea that a foreign entity interfered with the election, and on the right, we have the ideas that something's up with the machines or the ballot harvesting or the mail-in voting. Something's conspiring against us. Recently, one of our participants shared the idea that even enemies can come together for a common purpose, and I think that we like to think that's for a good purpose, but I think we can also see that sometimes opposing forces can come together for a nefarious force. And if we wanted to put on our conspiratorial hat, we could look at the parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. In many ways, they're working together. They're literally waging a war. We have a war going on in this country between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. They're in a all-out war to literally destroy each other. That's their goal, is to obliterate the Republican Party or obliterate the Democrat Party. But oddly enough, these two warring camps seem to have been able to come together to work on a common goal. And the common goal seems more and more to be the idea of closing us down, the American people, and taking us out, disempowering and disenfranchising us, and basically controlling the system of bureaucracy to remain in power, legislate, and to keep getting elected at all costs. And this is very discouraging. So, at least this week's coffee hour, we talked about the election results here in Illinois and around the country. And we were about to move on to the next story, the next election, and most namely the race in Georgia. And that's all good and fine. But I think we can see in this last election cycle, as we've discussed before, it was presented to us as the most important election cycle of our lives. And they've been telling us that for the last 50 years. And after this election cycle, we're supposed to just pick up the pieces and move on to the next battle. But that's probably not altogether where we should be. We really need to focus on the idea that the Republican Party is not going to save us. The Democrat Party is not going to save us. We really need to get it together as a people. We had John Tigas here a number of months ago from Patriots Pub, and he shared the cautionary tale of Virginia, that they did turn that state around. They changed the legislature and the governorship to Republican, and he said, oddly enough, nothing nothing ever changed. And he suggested we need to sit down with each other in small groups, break bread, and share our humanity and our commonality. And this week we had Brian Castle on, and he was talking about the losses we took here in Illinois and their next strategic move. And the next strategic move is to look at election irregularities, election integrity, cleaning up the voter rolls. And some people on the call have been championing that cause for a while, but for whatever reason, where we are now in this time and place, that ball is ready to be picked up, and we're going to be looking at it. And I thought it was a very, very good topic that Brian brought to us, an idea that that should be common ground. So we do know that everything can be politicized, but we have to be careful to present it and manage the message in a way that cannot be politicized. I think everybody has an interest in making sure that their vote uh, that they have access to voting and that they can vote and that their vote will be counted correctly and accurately. And we can all have faith in the system. That would be a step in the right direction from this spot we found ourselves in of us all questioning the integrity of election, which accomplishes nothing more than just disenfranchising many, many people. So we'll be looking at that topic more closely going forward, as well as the Georgia election and all the other particular races and outcomes and aftermath in the next couple of weeks. Conservative Coffee Hour is every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central Time on Zoom. I will be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.